Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Aamir Abbas, and I'm here once again to talk to you people from Pittsburgh, United States. And today's session is about literature search. In this session, what we are going to do is going to talk about different aspects of the literature search, and we are going to divide this into two parts. In the first part, we will be introducing some terminologies related to literature search, and in the second part we'll be doing some hands-on exercise by taking a very specific example of a topic and then doing literature search. And in the meanwhile, I have to do a few announcements. What I'm going to do is remind you people that if you people have any comments or questions, please do not forget to put them in the comments, and I'm going to project them to the screen as like this, and I'm going to uh, then read the question to everybody and then answer that. That's one aspect of it. Second is that if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And third is that those of you who are live right now, I request you people to please share this live stream with others in your contacts through Facebook, WhatsApp, and all the social media channels so that we can have a lot of audience and an interactive session. Without any further delay, I have to also mention over here that today's session is going to be a very short session. It's not going to be a long one. What I'm going to do is in this session, I'm going to introduce a few concepts related to literature search. I'm going to introduce these concepts to you, and over the period of the coming week, what I require those of you who want to learn literature search is to get familiarized with these concepts. If you do not understand in the first go, please watch this video again and get familiarized with this concept in the session during the next weekend. And the same time on next Sunday, what we are going to do is do some hands-on exercise where I will be taking a topic and using the concepts which I'm introducing today to do some literature search. Yeah. So today's session is to introduce some basic concepts related to literature search. Okay. So whensoever we are talking about literature search, there are different aspects, different websites which come to our mind. First of all, everybody whosoever is going to internet, they go to Google or Wikipedia, right? We are going to talk about them. And then in the third part of the talk is going to introduce some concepts to you people. So how to use Google and Wikipedia, first of all. If we talk about Google, there is a proper way to use Google, right? Uh, if you put in any topic in Google, what it is going to do is uh, it's going to bring in all the information. Some of the information may be extremely useful, and other information may be completely, which will not be that much useful. Therefore, how to differentiate between the information which is useful versus not useful? There are two ways which you can do that. First of all, when I will be talking about, I will be demonstrating the hands-on exercise, I will demonstrate you to how to restrict your literature search or the search from Google to these three domains, which is you can restrict your literature search to government websites, to educational websites, or to organizational websites. I'm assuming that any information from the websites ending with .gov, .edu, or .org will be comparatively quite serious as compared to other sources of information. So this is one way with the help of which you can restrict or screen the seriousness of the information on the topic on which you are doing your literature search. So that's one way. Second is to search in Google Scholar. Google Scholar is something which has information, it's a database of a large number of scientific articles, books, and patents. So if you want to use Google, then Google Scholar will give you a large number of a huge database of scientific articles, books, and patents, and you can also use that if you want to do so. So this was about Google. Now, what about Wikipedia? Wikipedia is a very comprehensive source of information again, but there is a proper way to use it. First of all, you can use Wikipedia to get a bird's eye view of a particular topic. Okay. Second, whensoever you type any topic in Wikipedia, whensoever you go through that and the end of it, you get a huge list of references, and you can go. So you get an information from Wikipedia, you go to the reference of that information and use that particular reference. And do not ever cite Wikipedia in your scientific writings, because that is not going to be accepted as a scientific source of information. But the references from which Wikipedia itself is taking information, they are most of the time quite useful references, and you can use them. So how you can use Wikipedia? You can use Wikipedia to get a bird's eye view of the information of the topic and get a comprehensive um, concrete information in at one place. And you can use the references in the bottom, and you can even go to them and click on them and read them in detail and extract a huge amount of information. And you can pretty much get all of the information being collected and a huge list of references on a particular topic collected at one point in time. But I have to emphasize over here that never ever cite Wikipedia as in your scientific writing, because that is not a standard practice. That will not be taken very well by the scientific community. So here I will have to remind you people that if you have any questions or comment, you are free to ask them in the comments of this video, and I'm going to go forward with this. And now I come to a few concepts which I want to introduce in this session. And I have to emphasize that in order to do literature search properly, what you are required to do is to familiarize yourself with these concepts quite effectively, because we will be using these concepts in the next weekend when I will be demonstrating. I will be repeating in the next weekend. I'll kind of repeat these concepts as well, but when I will be demonstrating how to use these concepts, the assumption will be that you know these concepts quite well. First of all is mesh. What is mesh? These are the terms which can be used to communicate with search engine. Now, computer search engine uses, so there's a list of terminology which we use, and there's a list of terminologies which is understood by the search engine. And medical subject headings, as the acronym is MESH, MESH. These are the terms which can be used to communicate with the search engine. And in other words, what I'm trying to say, that you have a concept. For example, depression is a concept, diabetes mellitus is a concept, or it can be any other concept, and you want to communicate that concept to the search engine. You want to extract the articles from the search engine for that particular concept. The mesh, which is the medical subject headings, is going to facilitate that. So what I'm going to do, if I want to do literature search on diabetes mellitus, the first step will be to find out the mesh terms. Okay, so in this session, I just want to introduce the concept to you, and you can identify the mesh terms with the help of the link which I've shown it over here. I will also put this link in the description of my YouTube channel video. The next concept is truncation. It helps to search different variants of the term, and static is used at the end of the word to truncate that particular word. And the typical way to use it, for example, if I use child and then static, which is a star sign, it will capture everything which is after D, which means that it will capture childish, it will capture children, and it will capture possibly all the variants of child which are there. In the same way, if we are talking about, if we want to do literature search on depression, and we use the word DEPRESS static, then it's going to capture both depression and depressed as well. So this is another way to this is another concept of truncation which we commonly use in the literature search to limit the number of terms which are used during the literature search. The next is you pretty commonly know in what is quotation mark. For example, these are the quotation marks. If you want to and communicate to the search engine that they should take diabetes mellitus. If you put diabetes mellitus as such, what it is going to do, it is going to read diabetes as a separate term and mellitus as a separate term, right? But if you put them inside a of quotation marks, then what will happen that it is going to take it as one piece of information. In the same way, as I've given the example of health informatics, if you put it separately, it's going to take health as a separate word and informatics as a separate word, and both as separate concepts. But if you put them into these quotation marks, it's going to take health informatics as one concept. Similarly, what is going to happen for child health, as an example, if you put child health into the search engine, then what is going to happen, it's going to take child as a separate concept and health as a separate concept. But if you put that into quotation marks, that what is going to happen, that it's going to take child health as one concept, right? So that is another important concept. Then the next concept which we are going to talk about is Boolean operator. There are three types of Boolean operator, and we're going to restrict our discussion only to and or. We're not going to talk about not, because that is not very commonly used. And or are commonly used Boolean operators. So what is going to happen? What is and? For example, if I want to do literature search on two things, I want to do literature search. I want to identify articles which have talked about depression and hypertension. So I'm kind of interested in this overlapping area, which means that the articles which are talking about depression as well as hypertension. So I'm going to use the Boolean operator of and. Similarly, let's assume I'm talking about identifying articles which are either talking of depression or hypertension for whatever reason I want, right? So in that case, what is going to happen is if I put or between depression and hypertension, so if I say depression or hypertension, it is going to identify all the articles which are having the mesh terms of depression, and all the articles which are going to have the mesh terms of hypertension. So this is the Boolean operator of or. And finally, the final concept is related to parentheses. Parentheses are pretty much used in the same way as we will use them in mathematics, which means that they go from inside out. As in this example, what will happen is that, first of all, so if we go from inside out, there's a quotation mark around diabetes mellitus. So the search engine is going to read diabetes mellitus as one concept, and then inside the parentheses or hepatitis. So diabetes mellitus or hepatitis. So all the articles which are having the concept of diabetes mellitus or hepatitis, they are going to be included. And then whatsoever comes from within the parentheses, out of parentheses, what we have the Boolean operator of and. So whatsoever the answer comes or the articles come from inside the parentheses, you are going to be able to identify the overlapping results between depression and whatsoever comes from inside the parentheses. So this is how you use parentheses. It's quite simple if you have used mathematics. If you use parentheses in mathematics, and they pretty much operate in the same way, that you go from inside out. So this is pretty much all. What we talked about today is we talked about a bit about how to use Google, how to use Wikipedia, and a few concepts related to doing search and literature search. And that's today's session is quite short as opposed to other sessions which used to be quite long. If you have any questions, you can still ask me. I'm going to just go through once more on through different concepts which we talked about. We talked about mesh terms, and we talked about truncation. Mesh terms are the concepts with the help of which the terms with the help of which you will communicate with the search engine. Truncation is when you put a asterisk at the end of a particular word, then it will be able to help you search other variants of that word. Quotation mark will help you to combine different words into one concept. For example, if you have diabetes mellitus, and if you search it without quotation marks, then what is going to do, it is going to read diabetes as a separate concept and mellitus as a separate concept. But if you put quotation marks, then it is going to combine them together. And then Boolean operator, we talked about combining different concepts with the help of and. If you want to if you want to use different Boolean operators, there are different Boolean operators are and or. And is going to help you identify the overlapping areas, overlapping articles for different concepts. For example, if you want to do literature search on hypertension and diabetes mellitus, and you want to identify articles which has mentioned both of these concepts, then you will use and operator. And if you want to identify articles which has used either of them, then you will use or operator. And in the end, we also talked about the parenthesis, and we said that the parenthesis work that you solve your search strategy from inside out. Whatever is inside the parenthesis, that will be solved first, and then from it will go to the out of parenthesis and be solved. And now I do not see any question for the time being. Therefore, what I'm going to do, this is all from me for the time being. And as a reminder, if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please share this video with your colleagues so that most of the people can benefit from it. And if you have any questions later on as well, you can ask them in the comments, and you can also give us feedback in the comments as well. Take care for the time being. Bye.